Hello everyone! So, Michael's has these little containers that are like $1 each, so I got a few, and I wanted to make some miniatures with them. So I was thinking of what to put in these little containers that I could possibly fit, and I decided on an environment from Stray, and specifically the Slums, where you meet the Guardian for the first time. So I drew up these 4 sketches. They're all the same, they just focus on a different part of the design, like the length of it, where I'm going to put everything, where all the foliage is going, and differentiating which part is which. Actually getting started now, I take this chunk of clay and roll it out flat, until it's as flat as I want anyway. This is going to be the ground inside the container. It's just going to cover up the plastic bottom and give me something to work with. I use the lid of the container to cut it out since it's the same size as the base. Then I just stick it in and use a piece of tin foil to give it that concrete texture. Part of this is going to be raised up, so I take some tin foil and scrunch it up to make a base, fitting it inside the container and measuring it until it's the right size. Once I'm happy with how it fits in the container, I take another chunk of clay, roll it out flat, and cover up the tin foil with the clay. I cover up all the sides first, except for the top and bottom. The bottom because it'll be on the ground anyway, and the top because I'm going to be putting tiles on it. The tile making was very easy, if not extremely tedious. I just rolled out a piece of clay flat and then cut little squares out of it. There was probably an easier way to make all the tiles than cutting them out one by one, but when I lay them down, this will allow me to make them look like they've been taken up out of the ground or been pushed around by growing plants. I haven't stuck the base in quite yet, and this is so I can lay all the tiles down one by one. It took a while, but it was worth it, except for the fact that the platform is too tall. So I had to take it out and start over again. This time I didn't use any tin foil, I just used some layers of clay, and it's much shorter, which suits my purposes. I stick in some snakes of clay that I can nudge around for the stairs. They did come out a bit rounder than I would like, but they still serve as good stairs. And for the little separator, I just get this rectangular shape of clay, stick it in to get the impression, and take it out to dry. I go in with a dark gray for the concrete. I honestly should have done this before I put the base and the stairs in. Moving on to the buildings, I make this pattern and trace it onto some cardboard, then cut it out. For where it's going to bend, I take an X-Acto knife and lightly cut it, not going all the way through. Then I just take some hot glue to keep it in place. For the inside, I'm painting it white, which I will later change to black, and with the outside, I'm going for a thick coat of gray so that I can stipple on the building texture. The only interior I'm going to be making is the garage area, so I painted the inside a dark gray instead of black. And once everything is dry, I go in and paint all the graffiti around the buildings. I reference screenshots taken straight from the game for all the graffiti around the area. There's probably some that I missed, but these are the most prominent ones that I saw. Since there's little boxes or things jutting out of the walls, I start making that. I just do the same thing I did for the buildings, lightly scoring all the pieces of cardboard where it folds, and hot gluing it all together. Though it is on a much smaller scale, and I nearly burned myself quite a few times. I make a couple of these, then stick them onto the wall. Once everything on there is good and dry, I go in on all the buildings with a black wash and then stipple away some of the black paint. This is to make it look more aged. Then I stick this accordion folded piece of paper that I painted silver onto the garage piece. There's a couple of vending machines around. I only include one in this because it's all I could fit. I paint this one red, stipple on some silver to make it look chipped, then just color in the front with black and glue it onto a wall. Before I stick all the walls on, I make bases for them to sit on and then make all the accessories that go inside the buildings, like little seats, boxes, rugs, and a mini couch. I go over all the tiles with a good black wash to make them seem appropriately dirty, and dot away the overflowing paint. And finally, it's time to glue on all the walls. This is pretty self-explanatory. I just put a good helping of glue on the bottoms of them, then stick them in, waiting for each of them to dry before I go on to the next. Now for all the foliage. There's quite a lot of it, and I don't have any already made foliage, so I try dyeing some cotton balls green. First I mix in some green acrylic paint into water. That didn't work. So then I just go in with some watercolor and mix it in with my hands. This worked a lot better, and I can go over it with acrylic paint to make it darker or lighter. I stick in the stair divider before I put the foliage in, then go around all the areas that I'm gonna put all the plants and paint it green, which you can't see. And then I glue all the plants on there off camera because I doubt you'd be able to see anything anyway. Then I make some roofs. It's the same way I made the buildings, just cutting out shapes, giving them black wash, then putting them on. And finally the lid, which I just paint black and put some white dots in for the lights on the ceiling. And then it's done. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. See ya!